We're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars. If I get elected, now if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole, that's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars.
Michael Beschloss, I want to ask you about Donald Trump increasingly sounding like a fascist, a dictator, mimicking them, and using words that are clearly out of the pages of some of the most powerful autocrats or dictators of our time in the world. And I guess the fear is that for some Americans who may not be informed about history, there's that vulnerability that Trump preys upon. And then there are those who are making the choice. And I need to understand that. Is there any precedent? Or is this how fascism works? Are they sucked in and brought in on different terms, whether Trump has something on some Republican leaders or others are just so uninformed they don't care? Is it a mixture? How does it work? Is there a precedent?
Well, I totally agree with what you've just said, Mika, and that's how fascism and totalitarianism, and in Germany's case, the Holocaust came to Germany, which had been a country where there were big institutions of democracy until, as you well know, the early 1930s.
So very frightening. We're getting ready for a Holocaust to take place with Donald Trump if he gets elected. So what's very scary is that he has us by the you-know-whats, because he's either going to kill us all if he loses, or he's going to kill us all if he wins. Either way, he's going to kill us all. Isn't this disturbing? Is it hard for you to want to exist anymore? Do you feel like everything's over? And yes, you're living in fascism. Even though Joe Biden's president right now, the Democrats control the Senate. And the media is run by liberal Democrats, and all the social media and Google, all of them are run by liberal Democrats. The power is controlled by the liberal Democrats. You are living in Marxism. Not Marxism. You're living in a dictatorship. And the Hitler is rising again, and unfortunately he's going to kill us all, and he said it with his own words. Here, behold the words. I played them for you. One thing that's not being mentioned in a lot of the audio you're hearing for Trump's full statement is that he also said, if you're listening, President Xi, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal. Those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, you're going to not hire Americans. You're going to sell the cars to us. No, we're putting 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line. You're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. They're building massive factories. Okay. So, and then you heard the left there, Mika Brzezinski from Fake News MSNBC, and some guy that says, yes, he's a fascist. Remember, Hitler told jokes and Donald Trump tells jokes. Remember these things. So, what's your reaction here? Do you actually believe the press and Democrats are lying when they say Trump said there would be a bloodbath if he's not elected in November? Why do you think the media and Democrats are lying about this, as they obviously are? And do you think the American people know the truth about what Trump really said? And will this help Trump get reelected or hurt him? I think this is going to help just throw the guy over the finish line, and get a massive win. Biden and the Democrats and the media are going to do this because they always do it, but even more so now because Joe is losing in Georgia and Michigan, and those are the second and third most delegate-rich swing states in the nation, and Biden is polling the lowest out of the last three presidents who ran and lost, ran for re-election and lost. Trump was at 48 right now. George H.W. Bush, when he lost, was at 39. Jimmy Carter, when he lost, was at 43 right now. Poor Joe is at 38. He's lower than all three of them, and they all lost. All of history in the polling says that this guy is done. So he knows it. So this is what they're doing. I'm going to read some quotations from a spokesperson first, but I want to give out that number at News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Make that a preset, by the way, 93.3 on FM. 800-288-WBAP. Four lines open, 800-288-9227. So let's go to Ann and Joshua. She was on a roll. I wanted to be able to let her finish off and just flow with what she was saying because she was spot on and didn't want to rush her off. And thanks for holding from Joshua. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Go ahead and finish what you were saying.
Well, I was just talking about, I don't know exactly where I was.
No, it's fine. No, it's fine.
The majority of I'm in the car at the grocery store, so I didn't have anything to write down my stuff.
You can see when you are at the grocery store that Joe Biden's brought inflation down. It was Trump's fault for the inflation.
Well, I can see by the cars that pull in here versus mine. I can see where the money's going. And I can go in. I've got I take pictures. I mean, I take pictures of people standing there with their Lone Star card and their 2 baskets full, and I might have 5 items in
my phone. Well, you have to save so that you can pay for their food and their college education, and and their mortgage program. They're going to give $4,000 or $5,000 to buy a house because inflation's so high because of Trump, obviously. So yes, go ahead.
We have 173 homeless here, and you see them walking around. I never see, let's just say, a visitor. What do they call them now?
One of the yes, I know what you're talking about. One of our
newcomers.
Newcomers. I was going to say welcome centers. No, newcomers. Yeah. Yes, our newcomers.
Yeah, I don't see them walking around. So they've got homes. We made sure they've got homes.
Well, you have to work hard to make sure the newcomers are paid for and cared for. Before they take your job, too. Yes, please, go ahead.
Exactly, and I've been watching it for a while where I am.
Make sure to buy a lot of Tyson food products, Tyson chicken, because all those illegals are taking the jobs from all the Americans, and they're firing right now. So get to work and go buy that Tyson's and pay for the free college and pay for the newcomers. Go ahead, please.
Chris, I heard this morning that the majority, Biden's always bragging about the jobs he's created. Job created. Okay. I heard this
all
morning,
of the jobs created last year, we just found out were all part-time, which is for their second and third jobs for us to pay for his inflation.
They were for the illegals primarily. They were for. That's what I heard this morning on the radio. Okay. But I don't know. I'm not in charge.
Almost all of them are part-time jobs. That's what we know. Go ahead.
They're all part-time jobs, exactly.
No, they are part-time jobs. They are part-time jobs.
They are. You're right.
Sorry.
Okay, let's back up one more time to what I was saying about and I hate to use the word stupid. My mother used to backhand me if I used that word.
Interesting.
Don't call anybody stupid.
Right.
But anyway, that's what Will Kane said. Let's just say Will said that. Well, that is the sweet spot for the Democrats. They have got to keep throwing, like that Misha or whatever her name is that works with
Mika Brzezinski. Yes.
Mika. They've got these different ones. I can't swear that all those people know history. I mean, maybe they do, maybe they don't.
Well, they do. They know that Hitler's real and Trump is Hitler.
I know, but trust me, I think some of them are just saying what they're told. But the Democrats are going to keep throwing. I wish somebody could reel him in. I know it's hard when you're talking and you're.
No, I'm not going to reel you in because you're good.
No, I'm talking about Trump, when he said bloodbath.
Well, okay, now listen. Are you prepared for him to murder you if he doesn't get elected?
I carry, and I have a right to carry, but I like Trump, and I don't.
But he's still going to kill you if he doesn't get reelected. You heard him.
I'll probably just let him kill me then, because I really and truly.
See, hold on, ma'am. There it is. Trump has her. She is brainwashed. She is preparing herself to be killed by the orange man, and she wants to be killed. This is what Mika was talking about. This is the bloodbath that's coming. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
I know. I'll just go to sleep one night and assume that they're going to take over. And if they don't take over, then our newcomers are going to. So it's one way or the other in Texas. All right, now I have one more thing to say.
Yes.
All right, they are going to. This is what you've got to look forward to. Let's go forward here. 2 things I want to say. I already talked about the ones that cannot. They do not, either they don't know history enough or they just ain't quite bright. But they do not know enough to tie together, and I know this because I talk to people, and they don't know enough to tie together why things are so high in the grocery store and why they look around and nobody looks like them anymore. Okay, they can't put 2 and 2 together, and if you mention who are you going to vote for, well, they don't have, they're looking at just who has a nicer personality. They don't have a clue that it's tied to these things, I promise you. So the smart ones and the fascists in their party are going, if they have some of those, but I'm assuming they do, they are going to keep throwing what now comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. They're going to throw it at the wall.
Yes.
Everything.
Yes.
Everything until November, because something has got to stick.
Yes.
That's the way they're looking at it. Something's got to stick. And then, okay, one last thing, and I swear I'll shut up. One thing, if nothing sticks, if none of his own words don't sink him, behind that, Plan B is their cheating system that they used last time. But they know that we know what they did last time. Right. So I think they'd rather sink him with words and deeds,
or jail, where he belongs.
Or put him in jail where he belongs.
That's right.
Rather than use the cheat system, because I don't think they can pull it off. I think that's the reason we got what's her name in the Republican.
You must call in every day because you're that good, Ann. Okay. Appreciate you.
Okay, I'm gonna take a nap now.
I should send you take a nap, but I should send you a check because you're so dang good. Keep calling in every day, please. Every day, you make my show better. She's incredible, ladies and gentlemen. Ann and Joshua, give her a hand. All right, your call is next. Don in Colorado, you're coming up right out of the box. Plus your call. 4 lines open, 800-288-WBAP. I'm gonna give you. Well, I want to get into Trump's $464 million appeal bond. He apparently says he's not going to be able to make it, so they could take all of his buildings in New York. We're going to talk about that coming up next. I'll give you all the details on that and take your calls on that as well. Hey, I forgot to tell you, New York Times bestselling author Joel C. Rosenberg is joining me in 45 minutes. He is incredible, and he was embedded with the IDF under the tunnels. He was embedded with the IDF, he went in and toured all the kibbutzim where the slaughters and the rapes happened. He has everything for you. He's an Israeli U.S. citizen. He was Russia's producer 30 years ago, and he's a bestselling New York Times author of many books and a very good friend of this show. He's been on millions of times, maybe not millions, and he's coming on again tonight at 10 for a no-holds-barred 1-hour interview. Tonight, you're going to hear everything. You're not going to want to miss this. 10 p.m., of course, Central, 11 Eastern on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset.
I mean, what I heard was a continuation of the same rhetoric, the same endorsement of political violence that we've seen from Donald Trump.
He's even predicting a bloodbath. What does that mean? He's going to exact a bloodbath?
It's just bullshit. He knew what he was doing.
Oh, that's their little montage. Here's their bloodbath thing.
But as Politico.com reports tonight on the, quote, bloodbath at the RNC.
As part of the, quote, MAGA drive to take over Maricopa County. And the headline refers to it as an impending bloodbath.
The midterm elections may not be the bloodbath for Democrats.
Oh, boy. So it's okay for them, but you can't say, Trump can't say, he's going to kill us all if he doesn't get reelected. Okay, got it. Thanks. Unfortunately, sick, demented Keith Olbermann even suggested hope for I won't even say the word of President Trump, but the A word, and it rhymes with procrastination or whatever, but it starts with A, and it leads to eliminating a president. So that's disgusting, but that's okay. They know they're going to lose now, and so they're flipping out. Let's go to your call at 800-288-WBAP. We're going to get to the Trump can't make bond, the $464 million bond in that civil fraud case. That's BS. So they might take away everything he owns or something of that nature in New York. But before we get to that, do you believe the press and Democrats are lying when they actually say Trump will have a bloodbath if he's not elected? Or are they just lying, as we all know they are, and they know they're lying? They know they're lying. Why do you think the media and Democrats are lying about this? And do you think the American people know the truth about what Trump said they're not stupid like that? And then will Trump get elected, or do you think will this help him get reelected, I should say, or will this hurt him? 4 lines open at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now on that on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. You should make that a preset. Let's go to Don in Colorado. You're on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Don.
Hey, good evening. It's nice to hear from you again. I don't know if it's going to help or hurt Biden and vice versa, but, it's definitely a desperate move by our media after that State of the Union address that was strictly partisan.
His ratings went down afterwards because it was divisive and, yes, hyper-partisan. Yes, go ahead.
And it was to the choir. So this is a desperation move in hopes to say, well, maybe Trump will cause a bad bloodbath and all of that. And I mean, it's like taking January 6th out of context and starting to change the term religious right to Christian nationalism.
Right, exactly.
This will get the people to...
Yeah, they're trying to put us in jail, that kind of stuff, yes.
It's projection. Projection.
Right, it is.
And Biden, I think, the Democrats are trying to find something they can convict Trump with so they can throw him into jail. And Mark Levin was talking about it on his Fox News program in hopes that if they can do that, throw him into prison, Biden has a clear path to a second term. And the Democrats...
They want... I heard that because the Great Ones show on Fox News on the weekends is incredible. I catch it when I can. I did yesterday. I always try to catch it, but on the weekends I also try to live my life. But I heard them. Yeah, they want... The Democrats want no opposition. So they want... what they want for the election in the fall is them and no one else. Like in Russia or North Korea, they want in Iran, no one else on the ballot. And that's why they're doing this. And that's what he said. And he was exactly right. Don, great call and great point you made up there. All right. Now, coming up next, Trump is saying he's unable, through his lawyers today, that he's unable to make the $464 million. There's never been a bond that high in America, ever, of any company or anything. But there they are over a fraud case that nobody was hurt for. There's no fraud, as we all know. But so he says he can't do it. We'll see what they're going to do. We're going to get into that coming up next. Plus your call, continuing on that and this, at 800-288-WBAP. Does this seem un-American to you to put a $464 million appeal bond on Trump? And do you think this will actually help him get reelected even more by this onerous, pathetic demand that he shows up with $464 million? I mean, does anybody, does this going to help him in the end? Like the other stuff was we were talking about earlier? All right. And don't forget this. Joel C. Rosenberg, New York Times bestselling author, dual Israeli U.S. citizen who has gone through the terror tunnels in the war recently, has gone in the kibbutzim, and has so much to say about the attempt to now remove his president as a dual Israeli U.S. citizen who lives in Israel most of the time. Does he actually? What does he think about Schumer and Biden saying, yes, remove Benjamin Netanyahu? And what do the Jewish people, liberal and Democrat, and liberal and conservative alike, think? Joel knows because he's there and he's a journalist. All that next. That's at 10 o'clock in 30 minutes on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. I was at this concert on this tour and love it. It was a great album and such. As U2 is wrapping up their residency in Vegas at what do they call it? The Dome or something? What's that called? The Globe or whatever. Whatever it's called, where it's a 360-degree concert experience. Anyway, we don't have it here, so that's why I don't know what the heck it's called, but it was nice to see that, too. And they're wrapping up. I'm like, dang it, I'd like to go see them. That'd be great. Although it probably costs you about $600 for a nosebleed seat, right? Little old Biden inflation there makes everything expensive, including concerts, obviously. So, by the way, before we get into this incredible bond that Trump is being demanded to hear, and if he doesn't, they're going to take everything away. Wanted to add one last thing about the fake, the hoax where it says Trump said he's going to be a bloodbath if you don't elect him. By the way, that would make you want to, that would basically be saying you have to elect Trump, otherwise you're dead. So that would make you want to vote for him. And then if you do elect him, I don't know what's going to happen then. I think they've told us he's going to become a Hitler or something. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So then you don't know what to do. You're going to be frightened, apocalyptically afraid, and just curl into the fetal position and hide until the liberal Democrat media tells you what to do. until the president tells you what to do. Well, what do the spokespeople for the president say? I wanted to add this last piece before we get into the $464 million bond. Can you imagine being asked to come up with $464 million? No, that's never happened before in this country. Nonetheless, Joe Biden's campaign spokesperson said two things about the bloodbath hoax. Quote, "This is who Donald Trump is. He is a loser who gets beat by over 7 million votes, then instead of appealing to a wider mainstream audience, doubles down on his threats of political violence. He wants another January 6th. But the American people are going to give him another electoral defeat this November because they continue to reject his extremism, his affection for violence, and his thirst for revenge." That was Biden's spokesperson. Another spokesperson also said, quote, "The Trump campaign can try to spin this all they want, but the context is clear. Their candidate has spent every moment since his first campaign encouraging and excusing political violence." The Biden spokesperson said, continuing to also say repeatedly that he's called for political violence. "It's not a bug. It's a feature of Trump's extremism. We take Trump at his word, and voters will too." Okay. So there you go. They're going to go with he's going to kill us all, and the only way to stop him is not vote for him. I don't know. They're becoming we're going to see more and more craziness things, though, right? Because as they get more and more desperate, seeing over the next how many months is left in this? Let's see, April, May, June, July, August, September, and October. So we've got 7.5 months left, and they're going to get more and more apocalyptic and ominous over the next 7.5 months because the numbers for the president, Joe Biden, are going to get worse and worse and worse and worse. Right now, he's polling at 38% approval rating, which is lower than Jimmy Carter's before he lost, lower than Trump's before he got lost, and lower than George H.W. Bush's before he lost. So, I mean, it's over for the guy as of right now. So they're going to get worse. So be prepared for all sorts of craziness for them to say the stuff. This is just getting a warm-up act here. $464 million is what Donald Trump needs to come up with for bond. Our number, by the way, is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. By the way, also, New York Times bestselling author Joel C. Rosenberg joins us in 21 minutes. He will tell us everything about his thoughts on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu trying to be forced out by our president. And also, since he's a dual Israeli U.S. citizen and a New York Times bestselling author and a journalist, he went in the terror tunnels underneath Gaza. He just did recently, I guess a week or two ago or something like that. And then he also went to the kibbutzim where all the slaughters and rapes took place. There's so much to talk about with him coming up at 10 for a whole hour on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3 Chris Crock Show. He's one of our best guests, and he's a friend of the show. Okay, so Trump's lawyers said today it's a practical impossibility to come up with $464 million under the circumstances. Attorney General Letitia James, who brought this bogus claim, who, as we all know, campaigned vocally on saying, "I'm going to put Trump in jail," now says she literally publicly has said she's eyeballing some of Trump's property, like Trump Tower, to see what she'll sell. She's already looking at which ones, ogling over his properties, all that he's worked hard for. And she's titillated and excited over what she will take from him and sell to pay for his bond. They're temporarily allowing him and his sons to run their businesses in the appeals process, but they're going to bar them for 3 years if they don't win an appeal. The diligent efforts, Trump's campaign lawyers said, or his lawyers for this case say, the diligent efforts include approached 30 surety companies through 4 separate brokers. A bond requirement of this enormous magnitude, effectively requiring cash reserves approaching $1 billion, is unprecedented for a private company. They also say that waiving the bond requirement will impose no cognizable harm on the AG. The case involves no actual victims and no award of restitution. She's fully protected by defendants' real estate holdings. The factor alone warrants a stay. So on this front as well, with a $464 million judgment, which has never happened before, as far as not a judgment but a bond. Does this seem un-American to force an American businessman who's, of course, a billionaire, but to come up with $464 million on a fraud case that there's no victims of, and including all the banks said that he didn't victimize us? It was great. We made all of our money back. He paid everything on time, and he owes us nothing, and we're happy with it. And we would do another business deal with him again. Does this seem un-American to you? And do you think this will help Trump get reelected even more by seeing this persecution, this legal persecution continue? 800-288-WBAP is our number. 4 lines open. 800-288-9227. Sandra in Fort Worth, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Sandra.
Hi.
Hi.
Not American, but I'm really concerned about us as a country, because we are depending on this Constitution. And while all of this has been going on during the entire Biden presidency, we have been unable to stop anything. We can't stop the stuff at the border. We can't stop the stuff that's going on with Trump. We can't stop the stuff that's going on with the January 6th insurrection stuff. We have no teeth in our Constitution. And I'm worried about that, because all we can do is topple. If that's what we're trusting in, we're toast. And
say this again. We're toast about trusting in that they won't lock them up.
No, we're toast as a country. If we let this go and we have no means to stop it, then there's no stopping them.
Right. Yes, and at that point it does become what they want, is to have total power. Like the great one said on his show this weekend on Fox, that what the Democrats are trying to do is make it so they don't have an opponent. By taking the Republican opponent, who's now been duly selected as his opponent, and putting him in jail and making him bankrupt so they can't fight back, and putting him in jail so that there is no opponent. That's exactly, they need to do that. Yes, that's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
One of the things I believe is he was our commander-in-chief. That is the top of the military.
Mm-hmm.
We don't leave fallen soldiers behind. He was taken out of an office that should have been his by a fraudulent election.
Well, we
owe that man support. He's like a fallen soldier, and we cannot let them do that to him.
Well, actually, I'll tell you this. We don't owe him anything as far as an election. He has to earn our vote. And that's just doesn't matter whether it's Trump or Biden, or it doesn't matter who it is, what I'm trying to say. I would never say we owe anybody anything as far as running for office. That's just my...
I didn't mean that. I mean, we owe him. We as a country haven't done anything to stop this crap that he's being...
We just don't owe him anything on that regard. He's got my vote, but we don't owe him anything. That's my unequivocal response on that. However,
they can do it to us, and they will.
Yeah. Well, yes, of course. Yes, but we don't owe him anything. He has to earn our vote, and he's earned our vote, and that's why they want to throw him in jail, because they can't beat him.
But I'm not talking about earning a vote. I'm talking about protecting a man who was the head of our military.
No, because then you could say the same thing. Hey, we could say the same thing about every president that you want to do this for Joe Biden in a year when he's hopefully not elected. You want to save him because he's our president, like he's the military. You can do that you can extend that to him and Bill Clinton.
There's nothing that Trump has done. They haven't proven it.
All right. But if you're following your logic, we'd have to do the same thing for Joe Biden after he's unelected, not elected, and protect him like he's a fallen soldier or something like that. So the logic is fallen in that regard. But I agree with most of what you said, but I don't owe him anything. He's earned my vote, though. And you are right, too, that they'll do the same thing to us, because that's how they work. They've taken 600 plus people that most of whom were tremendously peaceful and just what's the word I'm looking for? They were trespassers in the Capitol. that should have been given tickets and a warning that if they ever show back up on something like that again, they'll be jailed. But instead, they've turned it into their insurrectionists, which is a bald-faced lie, and locked them up and make Trump look like he's their ringmaster and all this stuff. So that's that's accurate there. But the man's earned our vote. I appreciate your call, but we don't owe him or anybody anything. And no former president is a fallen soldier that we don't leave behind, because then you have to do that for every Democrat that you don't like. So that just doesn't make any sense to me. But I appreciate your call. All right, we're going to talk to Kevin in North Richland Hills coming up next. Plus, I got a bunch more on this. What is the likelihood of this going through? Are they going to force Trump to do a bond for real? As they're trying, he says he can't make it up, can't come up with it. That's next on the Chris Crock Show. And in 15 minutes, Joel C. Rosenberg, New York Times best-selling author and journalist, inside of all over Israel and under the Gaza tunnels as well. Next. Absolute craziness. Donald Trump being told he has to come up with a $464 million appeal bond, or they will collect that bond by selling off his precious assets without him being convicted. It's disgusting, and the country knows it, whether they like him or not. And I think this will hopefully help him get reelected. Does this seem un-American to you? And do you think this will actually help Trump get reelected even more? 3 lines open at 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Make that a preset. Kevin in North Richland Hills, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3. Hey.
Hey, good evening, Chris.
Good evening.
I think Trump will win if the American people get the truth, okay, which they're not getting. I talk to people all over the United States and actually throughout the world, and I try to get them to listen to WBAP, and with the AM station, you can get a transglacial bounce. I've got a background in electronics engineering, and anyway, but they also hear it overseas, and this I tell them to listen to WBAP and not CNN and CNBC and stuff like that.
But right now, are they believing these lies and such that he's going to, kill everybody if he doesn't get reelected, the fake bloodbath stuff? And are they believing that, that it's okay to take away all of his money over a case that hasn't even been completed yet through appeals?
They haven't seen this yet. And the liberal.
Do you think the people out there that you're talking about are going to believe it and understand it, or are they going to follow what they're told?
If they get the correct information,
are they going to get it? Is what I'm asking you.
I don't know. I don't know. That's why I turned them on to WBAP.
Right. Okay. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm an ADL all-day listener.
No, but go ahead. Go ahead. I appreciate that. Just go ahead with your point, though.
So you all need to keep pushing this, okay? And people get upset with Dan Bongino and the other.
Forget critiquing our station or liking it. What's your point, though? I don't want to talk about our station. I want you to tell me your point on this story, other than what you've shared with me.
Well, I'm praying that Trump wins, but there's a cloak over the eyes of the people of the United States, and you know where I'm going with that. I don't want to go there, but that clouds their right. vision. And we have people have relatives in Nebraska.
Yeah.
Anyway, all over the United States.
Yeah.
But they don't get the information.
Okay. I appreciate your call. I don't mean to be rude. I got to roll, but I appreciate you very much. Thank you, sir. All right, John in Waco, quickly. You're on WBAP. Hello.
I just wanted to support the woman about we don't leave a military man behind, because on the basis of that and why it's different is because
15
Trump
seconds.
Was denied. Trump didn't win the election because mail-in ballots, like in Pennsylvania, were allowed to be counted, which should not have been counted.
I agree with you, but do you understand this is not, going back in time is going to lose the election for him if we do this?
Yeah, if we ignore the past, we're going to repeat it.
Okay, if we do the same thing and keep talking about what you're talking about as a campaign, we're going to lose, just so you know. I appreciate your call. I got to roll. That was the 15 seconds. Thank you for your passion. Up next, our guest is going to be Joel C. Rosenberg for the hour. New York Times bestseller of many, many books over the years. Also, Rush's former producer from about 30 years ago, and a dear friend of Rush's up till his passing, of course. But he's a dual Israeli U.S. citizen. He's a journalist on television and also on the web. So Joel C. Rosenberg joins us because he's going under Gaza in those tunnels with the IDF. He's gone into the kibbutzim where they've been slaughtered and raped. He's got stories. He also is going to have one heck of an opinion on what Joe Biden is telling and what Chuck Schumer is saying, that all of a sudden their president of Israel must step down, prime minister, which is insanity. All that next. Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, and now on FM at 93.3.